There are people who do not simply live inside their lives, they study them. They don't just experience moments, they dissect them. They replay conversations hours after they end. They analyze facial expressions, tone shifts, pauses between words. They notice what wasn't said as much as what was. These are the deep thinkers. And while the world often praises intelligence, it rarely understands the weight of a mind that never truly rests. A deep thinker can sit in a crowded room and feel completely alone, not because they lack company, but because their mind is miles away. While others laugh at the surface of a story, they are tracing its emotional undercurrents. While others move on quickly from an argument, they are unraveling it thread by thread, trying to understand where it began, what it meant, and what it revealed about human nature. They do not skim life. They dive into it and sometimes drown in it. From the outside, deep thinkers may seem quiet, reserved, or even distant. But inside, their inner world is anything but silent. It is loud with questions, loud with reflections, loud with possibilities. They are constantly connecting dots between past and present, between people's behavior and hidden pain, between their own reactions and old wounds. They don't just feel sadness, they examine it. They don't just feel joy, they wonder why it feels so fragile. Many deep thinkers develop this habit early in life. As children, they may have learned that observation was safer than expression. When emotions in the household were unpredictable, they became analysts. They studied moods the way scientists study patterns. They learned to read between lines, because sometimes what was spoken wasn't the truth. Their depth became a survival tool. Understanding meant safety. Anticipating meant protection. But what begins as protection often becomes identity. As adults, deep thinkers struggle with something few people see: the inability to switch off. Their minds do not have a simple mute button. At night, when the world quiets down, their thoughts get louder. They revisit decisions they made years ago. They imagine alternative outcomes. They analyze how one small choice shifted the trajectory of their life. Sleep doesn't come easily to someone whose brain insists on understanding everything. They crave meaning in everything. Small talk exhausts them. Superficial relationships leave them empty. They want to know what keeps you awake at night, what shaped your fear, what dream you buried because someone told you it wasn't practical. They want depth because they live in depth, and when they cannot find it, they feel like strangers in a world obsessed with distraction. Yet, depth comes with a price. Deep thinkers often overthink. They replay messages before sending them. They reread texts searching for hidden meanings. A delayed response can spiral into a dozen imagined explanations. Did I say too much? Did I not say enough? Did my tone sound wrong? Their mind is always searching for clarity, but sometimes it creates confusion instead. They are incredibly self-aware, sometimes painfully so. They notice their own flaws with brutal precision. They are aware of their insecurities, their triggers, their contradictions. They analyze their own reactions in real time. Why did that upset me so much? Is this about now, or is this about something old? While others may react impulsively, deep thinkers pause, not because they are calm, but because they are calculating. This self-awareness can make them wise beyond their years. It can also make them exhausted. They feel deeply. A song is never just a song. It is a memory portal. A scent is never just a smell, it is a time machine. A small shift in someone's energy is never just a mood, it is a signal. They absorb emotions like sponges, often carrying feelings that aren't even theirs. Empathy is second nature to them. They can sit with someone in pain and truly understand it, not because they've lived the exact same story, but because they have imagined 1,000 variations of it. But empathy, when unchecked, becomes heavy. They struggle with boundaries. They analyze other people's trauma as if solving it might heal them too. They take responsibility for emotions that were never theirs to carry. And when relationships end, they don't just grieve the person. They grieve every conversation, every possibility, every imagined future they had built silently in their mind. Deep thinkers are haunted by what if. What if I had chosen differently? What if I had stayed? What if I had left sooner? What if he misunderstood everything? They understand that the past cannot be changed, yet their mind insists on revisiting it like a detective revisiting a cold case. Closure, for them, isn't a simple goodbye. It is a full psychological autopsy. They need to understand why something ended, what it taught them, and how it altered them. Without understanding, they feel unsettled. They often struggle in romantic relationships, not because they cannot love, but because they love with intensity. They notice inconsistencies. They sense emotional shifts before words confirm them. They analyze silence, and if trust is broken, even slightly, their mind does not let it rest. It replays the betrayal in high definition. Forgiveness, for a deep thinker, requires complete emotional clarity, and clarity is rarely simple. Yet, when they love someone safe, someone patient, something beautiful happens. Their depth becomes devotion. Their thoughtfulness becomes loyalty. They remember details you forgot you mentioned. They support you not just emotionally, but psychologically. They want to understand your inner world as thoroughly as they study their own. Loving a deep thinker means being seen in ways that feel almost transparent. But being a deep thinker also means feeling misunderstood. People tell them you think too much, as if thinking deeply is a flaw. As if analyzing life is a weakness. They are told to relax, to go with the flow, to stop being so intense. But depth is not a switch they can turn off. It is how they are wired. Asking them not to think deeply is like asking them not to breathe fully. In careers, they excel in roles that require insight, creativity, or strategy. They see patterns others miss. They anticipate problems before they arise. They think long-term, but they can also become paralyzed by perfectionism. Because when you see every possible outcome, choosing just one path feels terrifying. What if the other path was better? What if they missed something critical? Decision-making can feel like carrying the weight of infinite consequences. Deep thinkers are often drawn to art, philosophy, psychology, writing, anything that allows them to explore complexity. They are fascinated by human behavior. They want to know why people hurt others, why people sabotage love, why trauma repeats itself across generations. They don't accept surface explanations. They dig, and sometimes in digging so deeply into others, they avoid looking at their own unhealed spaces. Their greatest strength is introspection. Their greatest challenge is over-identification with their thoughts. Because not every thought is truth. Not every fear is prophecy. But when your mind is powerful, it can create realities that feel undeniable. Anxiety often walks beside depth. The same imagination that creates profound insight can also create catastrophic scenarios. The same sensitivity that allows them to connect deeply can also make them hyper-aware of rejection. A slight change in someone's tone can trigger hours of internal analysis. They do not simply hear words, they feel vibrations. And yet, despite the weight, deep thinkers are the ones who notice beauty others overlook. They see poetry in ordinary moments. They can find symbolism in rain tapping against a window. They are moved by sunsets not just because they are pretty, but because they represent endings and continuations at once. They understand impermanence in a way that makes them cherish and fear everything. They are often old souls, not because they have lived long, but because they have lived inwardly. Their mind has traveled through possibilities, regrets, alternate realities. They have rehearsed conversations that never happened. They have argued with people in their imagination. They have solved problems that don't yet exist. And sometimes they wish they could be simpler. They envy people who can let things go easily, who can sleep without replaying the day, who can love without analyzing every emotional fluctuation. But what they don't realize is that their depth is not a curse. It is raw power that needs direction. When a deep thinker learns to trust themselves, something shifts. They stop treating every thought as an emergency. They begin to observe their mind without being controlled by it. They learn that clarity does not always come from endless analysis. Sometimes it comes from acceptance, from allowing uncertainty to exist without trying to dissect it. Healing for a deep thinker is not about thinking less. It is about thinking differently. It is about recognizing that not everything requires a solution. Some things require surrender. When they channel their depth into creation, into empathy with boundaries, into self-compassion instead of self-criticism, they become extraordinary forces. They become the friends who give advice that changes lives, the partners who understand unspoken pain, the leaders who anticipate storms before they arrive, the artists who articulate feelings others cannot name. The psychology of deep thinkers is complex because they are complex. They are layered, intense, sensitive, analytical, imaginative, often misunderstood, often exhausted, but also deeply alive. They are the ones who will sit alone at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, questioning the meaning of existence, and then wake up the next day and function like nothing happened. They carry existential questions in their chest while answering emails and attending meetings. They hold the universe in their thoughts while living ordinary lives. And maybe that is their quiet superpower. They feel the world more fully. They think about what others avoid. They search for truth beneath comfort. They are not shallow waters. They are oceans, calm on the surface, storms underneath, and depths that few have explored completely. To be a deep thinker is to live with intensity, to carry invisible weight, to question everything, including yourself. But it is also to experience life in high definition, to love fiercely, to understand profoundly, to create meaning where others see randomness. If you are a deep thinker, you may sometimes wish your mind were quieter. But remember this, the same mind that overanalyzes is the mind that understands. The same sensitivity that overwhelms you is the sensitivity that connects you. The same depth that isolates you is the depth that makes you rare. The goal is not to become less deep. The goal is to become at peace with your depth. Because when a deep thinker stops fighting their own mind, when they learn to balance reflection with rest, analysis with trust, intensity with gentleness, they do not lose their depth. They master it. And a mastered mind like that can change not only a life, but many.